With Rogers Gardens. I like to talk with my hands. And Happy New Year, guys. So, wow, we're already into a new year. Things have gone so fast this year that we're going to do our monthly talk on January in the garden. So I just go over really briefly on what you're going to be doing in the garden. And even this time of year, I tend to concentrate sometimes on maintenance and pruning. I'll talk a little bit about planting. I want to give a couple shout outs. They have the dates for Tomato Mania, one of my favorite events. So I think it's you have to look it up, but I think Tomato Mania is February 28th to March 9th, I think. But anyway, it's like 2 weeks, but that comes up closer to spring, but they have the dates, so that's cool. So today we're going to go through some pruning and a little bit of, but I'm going to go through really quick on what we're planting, and then I'm going to go more into pruning, and I'll talk a little bit about natives. And if you guys have any questions, save your questions for the end, and we'll answer a few questions at the end. And let's get started. So this time of year, we're on that. It's not like a lot of people say, oh no, it's still winter, but we're still on somewhat of a transition. Like we'll sometimes peak a little bit, but even we haven't been getting a lot of rain, so I'm still watering a little bit, much, but it's a funny year because lack of rain, but we're still cold. So the coldness, a lot of the fruit trees should be getting enough chill, and I'll talk a little bit about the edible stuff at the end, more of the fruit trees and the berries and a few things like that. So let's go over just going through what we're planting this time of year. So I'm going to talk more about just what's in the vegetable garden. What am I planting right now? So all your greens, lettuce, do your leafy greens. So do your lettuce, do your cilantro, do all your arugula. So I really like this one. This is a little dwarf bib. They have it named after a romaine type, but I planted this for some of my customers. It's called Little Gem Trio. And so I looked up the seeds, and really good variety. So this is a good one. Little on the dwarf side, they're like little mini bib lettuce. So this is a good one. So the trio. I do a lot of mixed lettuces right now too. Romaines I plant right now. And I'll talk more about seeds at the end. So all your lettuces, all your greens. Spinach, I'm doing a lot of spinach right now. So I do like, this is a really good one called Olympia. Olympia is a good one. I don't like so much of the crinkly leaves, but what I would do with this is I would harvest the leaves young so they wouldn't be as crinkly. So there's some good ones out there. There's Matador, Corvair, there's a whole bunch of them. I usually like to direct sow them, but what I'll do in the garden is I might put a row of these in, maybe 3 or 4, and then to the side I will do seeds. And that way I'll get a succession planting. Where these are almost done, I'll have the other ones. So that's another thing to talk about too that people don't really talk about in vegetable gardening, succession planting. And the succession planting is meaning that when you're done with one thing, you're going to be planting more. Like we're low on cauliflower right now. I always will plant a second crop of cauliflower right now. Don't wait. So that's with going back to the greens. So definitely your spinach right now. All your lettuces, that's good. And another one, even though it's more technically an herb, cilantro. Cilantro does great in the wintertime. A lot of people think, oh no, it's more of a summer. It bolts all summer long. You plant it now, you'll harvest it all winter. So put in more cilantro. These are little color packs. So cilantro, and then talking about broccoli. Oh, if you haven't planted any broccoli, this is a good one right here called Early Dividend. I really like the large-headed broccolis, and I know some of the growers and some of the seed companies are trying to phase them out. I'm like, I don't like the smaller heads. I like the bigger head broccoli. So I'm going after Dividend. I'm going after Arcadia. I'm going after Gypsy and Bellstar and all those big varieties, because once I cut that central head just under, so if your broccoli is getting ready, you got to make sure it's tight. Don't wait until it opens up or flowers. So cut underneath that head, and then I do fertilize it with a little bit of the Bios Alive, because I want them to produce florets or offshoots. So once you cut that broccoli head, you're going to get offshoots. But definitely, if you haven't done it, another thing of broccoli. Another broccoli that I really like that nobody really talks about I like the broccoli rabe. Oh, the sprouting broccolis are so good. They can get big, but plant them. You know, I'll plant them right now, and sometimes I'll keep cutting them. But again, the main thing with broccoli, and this holds true for cauliflower too, they're basically an unopened flower bud. So you gotta cut them before they open. Once they open, they're done. So when we have these warmer days sometimes and we hit 70s, go through and make sure that head is tight and let it try to size up enough so then it will get a bigger head. But don't wait to harvest it, because then they'll open up. But yeah, I do like this. Well, this is kale. What am I talking about? Where did I put this? See what happens when you get old, Sabrina? You start forgetting things. So this is kale. You can plant kale right now too, but I thought I picked a broccoli rabe, but it's down here. So this is broccoli rabe, and I don't know if this is the Sorrento or one of them. It's sprouting broccoli. So this is really good. You'll harvest it all the way until it gets hot. A lot of this stuff, by doing a second crop now or planting them in the garden right now, you'll harvest them all the way till about April. By the time it hits April, then it's going to get too warm, and then I take them out. So, but that's the other thing with it. Do your broccoli, do the cauliflower, and the kale. This is a really good kale. So the dwarf blue curly kale, that's a good one to do right now. One of the things too that I don't see a lot of people talking about is when it's colder, like with kale and with certain vegetables and even like Brussels sprouts, it gets colder, and even like almost snow on the ground, these vegetables will almost become sweeter. And I think it's one of the acids. I don't know if it's lactic or one of the other acids. When it gets hot, stuff gets bitter and those acids build up. Because I know like celery I don't really do when it's hotter, and kale I sort of will take out. So I do treat a lot of these as annuals for this time of year. I don't keep them going through into spring, so that's another thing. But going through, so we got that. Let me talk a little bit about seeds, what I'm planting from seeds, and we'll keep moving. So all the stuff I'm planting from seeds, the bok choy, I direct seed in the garden. This is a little toy choy. I like the white stem bok choy because it's very tender and it's really good flavor. They come up quick. This variety, which is toy choy, is 30 to 35 days maturity. Green Jewel, you know, two of my favorite seed companies too. I'll give a shout out to Botanical Interest and Renee's Shepherd Seeds. I love these two seed companies. So that one put in right now. Celery, I'll plant celery. I love planting celery right now. In fact, I always plant the celery right next to the carrots. So when I'm making stews, I'm making soups, two that I plant together in the garden. So I do try to get the faster. Oh, this is Utah Giant, Utah Sweet. I don't really let them go to full harvest. I keep cutting the new shoots. You can let them go to full harvest, but they take 100, 120 days. So that's another thing with celery. Root crops I don't buy in color packs. And this is a thing everybody always asks me, why did my carrots get all twisted and why didn't they grow? Because when root crops are in a pony pack, they'll hit the bottom and they'll spiral. They'll twist around each other. So that's why carrots, I don't plant the color packs. I plant seeds. So Shin Kuroda, I like the heavier carrots in heavier clay. So this will work better in clay. Then the rainbow carrots, like the circus, these are really good. Tender sweets are really good because you can pick these anytime. And with carrots you can. One of my other favorites is red cord chutneys. These work really good in heavy soils because sometimes if your soil is too heavy and too clay, the longer carrots will split of their fork. So instead of that taproot going down, they'll split. So the thicker carrots won't. And so there's other carrots too, like 8-ball, and there's some French varieties. So all of them are good, but I do like for heavier clay, which I'm in Santa Ana, so my clay is pretty heavy. So I do like some of the thicker shouldered carrots. So good, plant them right now. Don't plant them deep. I sprinkle them through a row. I lightly cover them, but the thing with a lot of, my radio's on. Oops, let me turn my radio off. You can tell I'm really prepared today. And so carrots, plant from seed, don't do color packs. Same thing with beets. I love beets. Beets are one of my favorite things to saute. The bull's blood, I love this beet. These are so good to saute the greens. One of my other ones, I love the golden boy. The gold beets are really good. And these are good for roasting, sauteing. And let me put this one down, I want to show you. So then the Detroit dark red. These are really like the 3 favorites I like for roasting. One of the other ones that I do like is I really like early wonderers. So if you guys juice out there or you're juicing, oh boy, this one of my friends at one of the farmers market, he always does early wonders, and oh man, it's a good one to juice. So that's that one. So those root crops, what else do I have? Radishes too. Radishes are good to plant right now. I like French breakfast. French breakfast are a good one that I can do right now that they're not so spicy. When you get into the other radishes, like the cherry bombs, they're spicy, but I like the French breakfast. And these come up pretty quick. They come up in about 35, 40 days. So that's a good one. Again, and not a lot of people do, even though they take a little longer. They say for this is the turnip, the purple top, white globe. Turnips have so much flavor, but they're saying 45 to 55 days on here, and I've had more like 85 days. You got to watch the bugs on them a little bit, but I love turnips. Turnips are so good steamed and then just eaten more like just mash them up like mashed potatoes. So love purple top turnips. Yeah, more spinach. Do spinach from seeds. I do. This one's Catalina, good baby spinach. A little bit about lettuces. So some of my favorite lettuces, we were out of the one that I really like called baby greens, or that one's so good because it's a mixture. But Farmers Market Blend is a good one. I like that one. Do the seeds now. The Paris Island Coast is a good one. I like the romaine. I really like this one from Renee's. It was called Wine Country Mescaline. Is it going off? Is it can you guys hear me?
There we go. Yeah, it's
okay. But anyway, though, talking about the seeds, so keep doing the seeds. I do like that arugula. I like the rocket. The rocket is good. There's different varieties of it, but I like this. It's sort of the more of the leafy type of arugula, like the astro. That's a good one. So that's with the veggies. Let's go with the herbs. So this time of year, the biggest thing with herbs is I only do perennial herbs right now. So you're not going to catch me. It's too cold for basil and dill and all that. They don't like it cold. And so that's why I'm doing perennials right now. So chamomile, it's perennial, plant it now. Your parsley can be more biennial, perennial. It sort of runs a line, but I do the parsley and the chamomile right now. This was curly parsley. This is your flat leaf. Biggest difference is I do like to use the curly leaf more in cooking. I mean, everybody has sort of a preference, but I like the flat leaf Italian. They don't really have a name on this one, but I do try to sometimes get the giant one. It's called Giant of Italy. That's a good variety. I do the oreganos right now. They'll be slow. This is Greek oregano, Italian oregano. I do those right now. Chives, like garlic chives, onion chives, plant now. Rosemary, like barbecue and Spice Island, I plant now. I love thyme. And so English thyme, French thyme, lemon thyme, I plant now. Even though it's going to be a little slow because of the colder weather, I do like the lemon balm. Lemon balm is really good. And then, like I said, with the other ones, they're just too cold to bring in right now. So I'm even though I have lemongrass up there, I don't plant it as much when it's cold right now. So the 4 that really don't like the cold as much, basil. It's an herb for summer. And then you have dill, more spring, not too hot but not too cold. Lemon verbena, more summer. And then the other one, like some of the mints and stuff like that, I plant them right now, but they're going to be really slow because it's too cold. So yeah, lemongrass is the other one that's really cold for them right now. They're not going to do a lot. So one of the perennial basils that I do like planting is African blue. This is a good one to draw the bees. So that's a good one to draw the bees. So let's go through annual perennials. I want to talk about sweet peas. This thing keeps on turning. Like, I don't know, it keeps on turning on me a little bit. But annuals right now. For flowers, we're shifting into flowers. So pansies, violas, I plant right now. Watch them for the bunnies though, because the bunnies do like them. So if you have a problem with rabbits, do more snapdragons and stock. So violas, pansies. I do like violas because they can really last into spring. So good one to put in right now. You can still do ornamental kale. I like the poppies too. The champagne bubbles, Icelandic poppies. These are good. I like the stalk, the midget stalk, 7-week stalk. I plant that right now. Since it's been so damp, see when these get really mushy, just go in there and just pick those older flower stalks off and clean it up, because all the dampness at night is going to get some flowers to sort of get really wet and sort of rot out. So just clean it up. And the same thing with cyclamens. I didn't bring any cyclamens up here, but see, just clean them up. You know, that's the main thing with it. So one of the other things we have, there's so many other annuals too. You can plant lambs there and a bunch of stuff. I always go through this time of year, it's the time to plant biennials. So if you guys like foxgloves and delphiniums and all of those biennials, Cinereas, plant them now. Don't wait. Where a lot of people buy them when they're already blooming. So with your delphiniums, I do the giants, like the Guardian Lavender. Where's the other one at? There was Guardian White. I like the tall varieties. Plant them now, plant them little. I don't want to get them blooming. I want to get them because they're going to grow all the way right now, January and February, and they'll start blooming about March or April. So plant little plants with the biennials that aren't blooming yet, so they have a longer bloom. Foxgloves are the same way. You know, I like to get them where they're not blooming. You know, so this one is Dalmatian Purple. That's a good one. So definitely with the biennials, plant them now. Don't wait. So even like the Cinereas, like the Cinetii, these are really good, but everybody thinks these are perennials. They're not. They'll bloom all the way. This is Cinetii Violet Bicolor. And so that's a good one to put in right now. And then the other Cinereas and the other families that are close to Cinerea. Uh-oh, here comes Mike. You're going to try to embarrass me. Not going to work, Mike. Not going to work. We should turn the camera and no, we can't do that. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can't. So anyway, back to this. So that's one thing is plant your biennials right now. Don't wait. Even perennials right now, they're going to be slow. So I'm going to shift into perennials because we only have a half an hour. So we got to go. How much time we have?
About 12 minutes.
Okay, then we got to go through stuff. Okay, so perennials, plant your daisies right now. Plant your salvias right now. They're going to be slow. One of my favorite little perennials, I love Nemesias. So this one is Inca Yellow, and this one I don't know. I don't have the label, but even some of the, this is Mystic Spires. Salvias, plant them now. I do sometimes trim them back though, even though I'm planting them right now. I do like to sort of trim them back. But I got to go through that. So plant your perennials right now. If you got them in the garden, I do like to prune them back, even though they could be blooming right now, because this is the thing with plants. They have to have their rest. And if we're not cold in the days, sometimes stuff won't go dormant. So sometimes I will still trim back penstemons, I'll trim back yarrow, I'll trim back, because they could still be blooming right now. Even salvias, if they're still blooming right now, I cut them back to about 50%. So that's moving on. Now is the time for sweet peas. So I know a lot of people think that I'm Steve Hampson. I know we look alike. I'm just kidding. But we brought in his sweet peas. So now's the time to plant sweet peas. These are the English types. And everybody's like, well, what's the difference between the English types? Well, they're more like in the family of Spencer sweet peas. And Spencers have a longer stem and a bigger flower, and they are very, very fragrant. So you plant them right now. They're day length sensitive, so they grow all up to about March, and then the lengthening days of spring, they start blooming. I use my old tomato containers. You got to get them into a lot of sun. This is really important with sweet peas. Make sure you get them watered. Make sure the soil is good. Watch them for pill bugs and slugs. It's been so damp, sluggo. So when I'm growing them, I just want them in a good area. I don't want to overwater them, but I want them to something to climb on that's thin. So some of the varieties I brought up that are Steve's varieties, Sunshine Opal, which is a good one. I brought up Sunshine Mid Blue, good one. What are some other ones? Let's look through. These are nice little starts. They're running a deal on them right now. Buy two and get one free. So Enchante, this is a good one. Enchante. This is Alice and Louise, another good variety. This one is, let's see, this one is another Sunshine Opal. Grace, Grace, yeah, Grace of Monaco. This is a good one. This is a newer one. I want to try this one. Never grew this one yet, but there's some good ones out there. So we got White Frills. We got Jack-o'-Nan. We got a really good stock of them right now. But this is the thing is Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn is a good variety. So the one thing you want, and it's just like the biennials, we treat sweet peas as annuals because they don't like the hot weather. So, and they are more of an annual plant. So, so what you always want to do is you want to plant them right now. You want to let them grow, and they'll be very slow to start, but they'll take off as we go on more into January and February. You don't want to feed them too much. I will put a little bit of a organic rose fertilizer in, but I sort of feed them when I plant them. So you just want them climbing up in full sun. And like I said, when we go through the lengthened days of spring, that's what triggers them to bloom. So plant your sweet peas right now. Don't wait until they're blooming, because then they're not going to grow any taller. So when you plant them right now, the plants have time to get larger. And what that will do is that will get the plants to be larger and then actually bloom more off of more plants. So that's important. I forgot to talk about these. Now it's time, bare root strawberries. Love the bare root strawberries. I've done so good. My favorite variety with bare roots though, and a lot of people are going to disagree, I love Seascapes. Seascapes I love. One of my favorite varieties because they're big, sweet strawberries, and I get so good a production off them. So these retail 15 bare roots for, I think, what is it, $6.99, which is a good deal on them. So get your bare roots in the ground right now. But I do like Chandler. Sequoia is good as a June bearer, but again, these are day length sensitive too. These will slow down on fruiting as we go into summer. These come along as the days get longer. So ever bearing, June bearing. So two big difference. And you got to put them in a well-drained area in full sun. You can put them in baskets. If you have critters, put them in hanging baskets. Critters can't get up there into the baskets. So definitely plant your bare roots. Before we go, I just want to show you how David plants them. And yes, I'm going to rip the bag. So I mash them down because a lot of people, when they get a bare root, right, they want to plant it just like this. Don't. Spread those roots out. Plant it flat like that. Plant it, push it down. You might put it over a little bit of a cone. Don't bury that crown. You don't want to keep the crown high, but I'll bury it right to about there if you can see it. You bury it high, you're going to rot it out, but loosen those roots out and plant it down. So so now's the time to plant them. Since we're not getting a lot of rain, I will probably really soak these good about once a week. So that's important. So let's talk a little bit about, fertilize your citrus. Feed citrus right now. Fertilize citrus right now. So we're going to go through the fruit trees and spraying. I'll talk a little bit about roses in a minute, but what I was going to say. So yeah, feed all your citrus right now with citrus pruning. A lot of people make the mistake with citrus to shape them. Don't trim them. Even with regular fruit trees, don't shape them. Lace them, thin them out. That's the basic thing. And you're going to have a lot of dead growth on older citrus. Just cut that growth out. Wanted to do a little bit of a plug though, more with pruning. We got in a really good amount of Felco stuff. So, oh God, I love Felco. I'm a tool guy, so I love Felco tools. So I brought mine in today. I use 7s when I prune my roses. This has a rotating handle, but I do love Felcos, and it's one of those products that I've been using Felcos for like 20 years, but one of my favorites. Good for rose gloves when you're pruning roses. Got a good set of loppers. I love loppers. For heavier pruning, like climbing roses and fruit trees. So I love the stainless steel tools. One of the biggest things though too, I'll tell you guys, don't leave your tools outside. Bring them in the house. So with your pruners, with these, with everything, bring them in. Don't leave them outside. I like a good holster too. Felco makes one of the best holsters. The hinge is really tight, so sometimes I put cardboard on it to loosen it. That's a good one. Let's talk. I just want to talk about the bare roots. Oh, and another thing too, though. Now's the time to plant the natives. I probably am going to run out of time, so plant your natives right now. plant your ceanothus. One of my favorites is the Matilaha poppy. And so I just brought one up. And so, favorite plant. I love this plant. So one of my favorites. Even though I know I'm jumping around, we got in our early season roses. And so early season roses are basically bare roots. Let me move some of these tools off. Basically, the early season roses are bare roots put into a 5-gallon. One of the difference is with this put into a 5-gallon container. They're in soil, so they start rooting. So that's the biggest thing with bare roots. If you can get them potted up, you have less desiccation or drying out with the roots. Now, when you do plant these, I will plant them like a bare root. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll buy these 5 gallons and I'll sit them for 2 to 3 weeks. Let them root out more. Once they root out more, then they're going to be like a 5-gallon rose. If you plant them right now, the soil might fall out and you might have to build a cone over that, underneath that, so then the roots stay spread out. That's very important with bare roots. And this is bare root fruit trees. This is bare root strawberries. This is anything bare root roses. You dig your hole out, you'll prep it with 50% like a planting mix and 50% of the native soil, and you blend it. In the bottom of the hole, you'll make like a volcano or like a cone. When you spread those roots out, those roots stay apart and they'll grow over that cone and grow out. If you just plant it in the hole, all the roots can stay together and sometimes they'll rot out. So big thing when you're planting bare roots. But now's the time. January is the time to do it. So one of my favorite varieties. I know I always like Yves Piaget because it's a French Romantica. This is another rose that gets overlooked that I love is Neil Diamond. Neil Diamond is like a candy stripe. It's more of like a pinky white. They get into a big hybrid tea. They'll get about 4 to 6 feet tall and they get big. But the fragrance on this rose is one of my favorites. I didn't really have any examples of roses to show pruning wise, but the general rule of thumb with pruning roses, with hybrid teas, let's start hybrid trees. You want to sort of keep the center open a little bit. You don't want to prune them hard too. I see the gardeners prune them way too hard. So if you have a hybrid tea that gets 4 to 6 feet tall, take it down to take it down to half. Don't go more than half because this is a 2-year-old field-grown rose and they cut them really hard coming out of the fields and they're fine because it's such a young rose. But as a rose gets older, you can't prune it this hard. So that's really important with roses. Like even when I prune roses, I will take a 4 or 5 foot rose and I'll probably take it at 2. And what I'm always looking for on them is I won't prune these because these are calloused over. I don't want to prune them. But what I'm always looking for when I do prune, I'm looking for an outward facing bud that I cut on a 45-degree angle. I want to keep those branches going up and out. That's very important because some people, they'll take a blind cut and they'll just cut and then the branches will invert back into the tree. So I'll talk about that when I there's a apricot or peach over here where I'll show you guys where they did that. So that's one thing with hybrid teas. Cut them back, cut on a 45-degree angle, outward facing bud, take off any suckers, strip off all the leaves. I got 3 minutes. And I like, one of my favorites, I do like the copper sprays as a preventative on overwintering fungal spores. And so I spray the ground, I spray the canes, like the copper. The only thing with copper will dye anything blue. So if you have any white walls or anything white close to it, don't use copper. You can use sulfur too. Sulfur is really good, like wettable sulfur, or this is just regular sulfur. I went away from really getting a lot of the concentrate, so I have the ready to use, but the copper soap is still effective, but don't watch out around white walls. So with that, I want to bring, before we end, I want to bring one of these fruit trees up and prune it, which is the one, okay, here we go, right here. Let's see if I can set it on the table. Let me move, it's just gonna take me out, but, okay, let's set this on the table because I want to show you so can you see it, Sabrina? Let's see, let me move it over. So see how they did like this head cut? That's not good. So what they did was I don't know if you guys can see it, like, I'm gonna cut this branch so you guys can see it better. So what they did is, see how they just prune the branch and then you got this weird branch coming up? No, what I'll do is, and I'll do this on roses too. I don't want to cut all the way back to the branch, but I'm gonna do it right here. See, I want to make the cut right here. So I don't want the branches going up and into the plant. So what I'll do is I'll cut it. I always give myself about an inch or so, 3/4, because I don't want it to desiccate and dry the branch down. And so that way, and then even with this, I'll cut it again. I'll take suckers out, you know, and other than that, this is not a bad little fruit tree. What is this? This is a gold-kissed apricot. It's a low-chill apricot. Even with this branch, what I'll do is I'll cut this bottom off, and then I don't want these branches going up. They can become weak. I'll do a flat cut because I want the branches going up and out. That's very important with roses and with fruit trees. These branches go up and out. Even I'll cut this one again. This one's going too close to the trunk, and so I might actually try to bend him out. You can take little wedges and wedge branches out. You just don't want to going, because this isn't a sucker. Suckers don't have as many buds on them. So let me take the other fruit tree really quick, and I think this is a apricot too. So this whip that's way down here doesn't look like he's going to do much. He's too low. So what I'll do is right at the collar, I'll cut that. If I can show you right at that collar, I'm going to do a clean cut. The reason why I do like these 7s, I know a lot of people don't like the rotating handle. These have a lot of power to them. So I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to take them off the table. And see, this is actually a pretty good little tree. This is a little different than the other one. This is almost like a natural dwarf because it's been pruned back so much, but this one has a pretty good shape to it overall. But again, see that if I turn it around, I'm getting all hung up on stuff. But again, see, like if I hold it up, see they did a really bad cut on that. So again, I'm going to cut it on a 45 angle. I'll cut this one back because I want these branches going up and out. I don't want them inverting. So that's really important when you're pruning to look at what you're pruning. You can always thin stuff out. You can always, don't trim stuff down too hard or shape. Lacing out, like this tree has been laced out and it looks really good. But any overcrossing branches, any suckers you see near the ground, I will take out. But I always want to correct up and out, not up and in. So I think we're finished for the day for January, like in the garden, fast and furious. Yep. And so if you guys have any questions,
what I'll probably do is, we don't have too much time for questions today, but what I'll do is we do post this live after we're done, so it'll be posted right now on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to comment down your questions below, we will get back to you and answer them.
And if you guys have questions about any of the stuff I talked about today, come in and see me. I'm here Saturday. This time of year I'm here Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'm not here on Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. But if you have questions, I'm here Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So any questions, anything, come in. I'll talk to you about the pruning and the spraying and yeah. Okay, guys. Okay. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining me today. And I can't wait for Tomato Mania. That's a good one. And so I'll talk more about other stuff. But if you guys have any questions about stuff, come in and see me. Thank you for joining me today. This is David Rizzo signing off. Happy gardening.
Thank you.